Good afternoon, everybody. This is Rachel Matta coming to you live from KHTS Radio, and I'm here today with Congressman Mike Garcia. How are you doing today, Congressman?
Hey, good afternoon, Rachel. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, of course, and I'm glad to hear it. Well, Congressman, it is March 29th. The average price for gas in California has reached $6 a gallon, and people are looking for economic relief. As you know, Governor Gavin Newsom proposed a gas tax rebate to be sent out as early as July, but others argue that immediately suspending the gas tax would be much more time efficient. Congressman, what are your thoughts, and are there any plans in the works to tackle gas prices from a federal level?
Yeah, so there are some quick levers, and our California state legislators in Sacramento have decided not to pull those levers. Obviously, I have been fighting this gas tax thing since it was voted on a few years ago. We got hoodwinked with this. They were telling us it was going to fix bridges and roads, and what it actually did was just dial up gas prices, and we're not really seeing the benefit of that with the infrastructure plans around us now. And so, yes, they need to suspend that at the state level. As I'm out here, Rachel, there's members of Congress from different states, complaining about their gas prices, and the delegation from Texas is complaining about their $4 gas, and I'm telling them, look, I wish we had $4 gas. $4 gas was so kind of 2016 time frame, and California is in worse condition because we've been fighting this war on energy and fighting this war on oil producing companies in California for decades now, and we're seeing that now being aggravated by these massive inflation rates, as well as the war in the Ukraine and the oil supplies being cut off from around the world. And we're seeing now $6.50 gallon of gas. So that's how we got here. From a federal perspective, there's really not much we can do. We can try to put together incentive plans and relief packages and do kind of what we did with COVID. The problem with that is that it ends up driving inflation even higher, and we don't, frankly, have money to be spending like we have been over the course of the last couple of years. We've now got more than $30 trillion in debt at the federal level, and this is unsustainable spending. So what we need to be doing at the federal level is incentivizing oil companies and incentivizing energy companies to start producing on our own borders, so that we regain that energy independence that we had just a couple of years ago, but this administration has effectively prevented from continuing. So the short answer is we need more supply. We need more oil. We need to be less dependent on foreign nations, especially adversaries like Russia and like Venezuela. We need to be able to figure out how to be more energy independent. And in the meantime, for a short relief of the pain at the pump, we can have our own state legislatures just hit pause on the gas tax, and that's a meaningful amount of money, anywhere from 50 cents to $1, depending on what county you live in, and that'll help mitigate the pain. But this has been a long train coming for a while, and we've got to basically get back to energy independence.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your input on that. And speaking of recent economic developments, I heard just last week you sent a letter to President Biden urging him to use every economic tool at his disposal to ensure that the People's Republic of China cannot offer support to the Russian Federation. What do you think comes out of this request, and how do you propose that legislation makes that happen?
Well, like most things, when I send letters to the White House, they're meant to be educational tools, not just for the president in this case, but also for our constituents and other members of Congress. And basically in this letter, what I'm telling him is look, hey, every single lever that you've pulled in the last, call it 5 weeks, against Russia as a result of its actions in the Ukraine are levers that we should also be pulling right now against China, relative to what China's been doing to the rest of the world for the last couple of years, and even to this day. And so it's saying, hey, instead of being reactive in these sanctions, instead of being reactive in terms of our boycotts and our divestment packages against Russia, let's be now proactive against China, so that we are actually having a chance to deter China from invading Taiwan. And no one's talking about it. And what this letter is meant to be is to grab everyone by the shoulders and say, hey, look, China still remains the biggest threat to our nation's security. We still need to hold China accountable for everything that it's done to us over the course of the last several years. And it's like people have forgotten that COVID started in China, and that the spread of COVID was a direct result of China in the Wuhan lab, in a biomedical lab condition 2, which is like a dentist office, they mishandled this virus, which is very lethal and very contagious, in a BSL 2 level condition facility instead of a BSL level 4 condition facility, which is what's appropriate for a virus like this. They failed to contain it. They failed to report it when it was not contained and on the loose. And in the end, we ended up with more than 6 million people dead around the planet because of COVID. They continue to steal our intellectual property. I think it's something like $4 billion of damages cost to our industry as a result of stolen intellectual property from China. They continue these massive airspace incursions against the Taiwan nation, the island nation of Taiwan. And they're building these man-made islands with weapon systems on there that can actually reach out and touch the mainland United States borders, or within our borders. California is vulnerable. And so China's doing all of this in the background with really no offset, no one putting a check and balance or deterring them from continuing these aggressive actions. And so what I'm asking the president to do is to start paying as much attention to China as he has been to Russia the last several weeks. And hopefully we can actually create a meaningful deterrence against China so that we don't have another war like what we have in the Ukraine against Taiwan, or God forbid, one of our allied nations or our country itself. And so that's the spirit of the letter. We won't get a response from it, but hopefully at some point we start seeing his cabinet start to develop strategies and tactics that are a little bit more aggressive and maybe a little more proactive against China as well.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's very interesting to see how sometimes in the news things get buried when we really should be putting more emphasis into those types of topics. And so I'm really glad you touched on that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. If you're just tuning in, this is Rachel Maddow with KHTS Radio, and we are currently live here with Congressman Mike Garcia. Congressman, in lighter news, I hear your office is now accepting submissions to the annual high school Congressional Art Competition. Could you tell us a little bit about this contest? Mm-hmm.
Very cool competition. Thanks for bringing this up. This like appointments to the service academies is probably one of my favorite things of this job. And every year we go out for a competition for high school students less than 18 years old, and we create a panel of judges. And this year's topics or subjects are called Man's Best Friends. And this could be any animal, not just dogs, but cats, giraffes, any kind of animal. That's one subject. And then any machine or any vehicle. So airplanes, cars, trains, boats, something that, is, something we the problem is we've gone through the last couple of years, and it's been kind of a dark period in our nation's history. And as you walk the halls of Congress, the winners of these art competitions get to hang their piece of art in the halls outside of our offices for a full year. And so I'm looking forward to this competition. We had Olivia Moon won the competition last year. Her art is up on the walls. She's from Santa Clarita. It's a district-wide competition, so you can visit our website and apply there and see all the rules and timelines for it. But this is a fantastic competition. Second place we end up allowing them to display their art in my office, either in Santa Clarita or the Antelope Valley or back in D.C. So it's a way for the local artists and the talent in our district to show off their skills. And this year it'll be either animals or vehicles, and something that'll hopefully motivate people as they're walking the halls of Congress.
Wow, that is an amazing accomplishment that someone is going to be receiving pretty soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Congressman, we are coming close to the end of our time here today. Is there anything else you would like to mention to our viewers today?
Well, like I always end with, this fight that I've got in D.C. is about lower taxes. It's about less spending, and that's coming to a head. We just had the president release his budget this week, actually yesterday. It's something like $5.8 trillion at the top line versus the budget last year of something like $4.5 trillion. So it's like a 20% increase, almost year over year in spending. And this is during a time where we already have massive debt, we have massive inflation, and within this president's package is a massive tax hike, probably the largest tax hike in the history of the country. And so this is the fight I'm fighting. We need to cut spending. We need to lower taxes. We need to allow businesses to get back to work and employees to keep their jobs. And The number one goal is just to allow Californians to stay in California and not have to move to Texas or Florida in order to keep their livelihood. So that's my commitment. And as always, if anyone needs help with any constituent services, please reach out to our offices in the district or in Washington, D.C., and we'll get someone to help you with a federal agency right away.
Perfect. Well, as always, thank you so much for coming on here. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Rachel.
Thank you
Take
so
care.
much. Take care. And thank you to all of our viewers for tuning in. This has been Rachel Matter reporting, and I hope you all have an excellent rest of your day.